Welcome to the Wildflower Diaries here in the lovely, lovely North Hills, the best place to be in early spring for the wildflower bloom. I've been up here the last couple weeks, kind of starting in the end of March, scouting out some new shots, new scenes this year. And I've got a few in mind. I'm at one of them and started working it tonight for the first time with a stills camera. In the last 2 weeks, I've mostly just been recording time lapses and getting a sense of angles on different broad vistas that could be captured up here. The challenge right now is it's mostly low flowers that are in bloom. We got yellow bells and shooting stars and phlox, which are so nice and low to the ground that the grasses around them tend to be significantly higher. So it's tricky to include them in a broad vista because they're generally crowded out by the grasses. I did find a patch of grass here that is really low, still higher than the yellow bells, but it's pretty low and allows for at least enough of an angle to get above the grass to get in a big broad vista scene here. In this case, including the north end of the North Hills and the Rattlesnake Mountains and the sky. That's the scene I'm going to be working on the next couple of days, maybe week. I'll probably be out here in the next week working this specific scene. I think it has a lot of potential because the northern North Hills have these nice rounded shapes that catch light and then cast shadows really, really well and make for some really cool shapes when the light's right. Without light on those hills, they tend to just fall flat. They lack shape and three-dimensionality that makes them so intriguing when the light's right on them. I'm so pumped. I really miss getting out with my camera and just being outside regularly. Yeah, it's so good to be back. All right, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. No real images tonight, but a good scouting mission. I'll share a few of the little kind of sample placeholder shots that give you an idea of what I have in mind here. Didn't get it tonight, but I know that if I make enough trips up here, something's gonna happen. Something special will happen with the light and be in the right place, right time. So I'm back at the scene. It's several days later. I think it's been about 3 or 4 days. I don't really remember. In those intervening days, a couple of things have happened. Well, it was stormy and cloudy. I didn't even bother coming up here. There was no chance of good light. But with all that rain and the sunshine in the last couple of days, really today, the flowers have just really come up. So there's lots of new patches of yellow bells and some big patches of shooting stars that have come up in just the last maybe 2 days. It's getting really quite full up here, and everything is starting to green up. The grasses are starting to green up quite a bit. Things are looking pretty good for sunset. There's almost too few clouds. You got to be careful what you wish for because it was way too cloudy, and obviously too many clouds snuffing out the light's no good, and this shot is so dependent on light on the North Hills. But I also was just hoping for just a few clouds above the North Hills to catch some light too at the end of the day for some more interest in the sky. And there may be a few that move in, but right now it's pretty bare up there. Another thing is there's this high cloud layer that started forming maybe an hour or two ago to the west where the sun's going to set, and it's starting to dim mute maybe is a better word, the sun. It's just not as strong as it was. It doesn't seem to be thickening, it just seems to be expanding. So if this is it, if it doesn't get much more dense than this and the light maintains this sort of directness, it will be enough, I think, for some good light on the North Hills to still get that golden hour light and those shadows. Maybe a half hour, 20 minutes, I'm gonna really start to pursue the composition in earnest, because that'll give me enough time before sunset to really get things dialed in and ready. So when the light kicks off, I'm totally set up. That's the plan. Just gonna sit and wait some more. Listen to the meadowlarks. It's a perfect spring day. All right, we are well into golden hour now, and I'm afraid the light has been snuffed out. There's some clouds on the horizon that I can't see, because I could go to the top of Waterworks Hill. I thought about that a few minutes ago, just to check on the horizon to see what's going on with the cloud cover, but I think it's pretty socked in. Just getting a hint, just a little bit of a skiff of light on the hills, but it's pretty muted, super muted now, actually. But I will say this is really positive, because a couple of nights ago when I was here and I was just snapping around and taking a whole bunch of different images in this little patch of grass and with the yellow bells, when I got home, I didn't think I had anything interesting. I was just like, oh, okay, I've got a bunch of sample shots. I just want to kind of see what things looked like and gauge distance and angles to see what might work well working from foreground to middle ground for a continuous, just for kind of a continuous flow from foreground, middle ground, and background. And when I was looking at the images, one of them just caught my eye. I go, oh my gosh, this has so much potential. Just a single little yellow bell amongst the silver grass. It's a pop of yellow and then a pop of yellow on the hills too. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. I'd go to sleep the last couple of nights just envisioning what this could look like. I couldn't get out of my head. I don't know what the visual equivalent of an earworm is, but it was that. It was just stuck in my visual system, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And and my suspicions are confirmed that it really is cool. Like, it's an interesting shot, and working it now with more precision with the tripod and getting everything really dialed in as to where spatially everything should be, I really am happy about it. I'm very pleased. And so tonight really worked well to reaffirm that this is worth pursuing. Obviously, it's just awesome to be outside. That's never a loss at all, but this has made me realize that I will keep coming to this exact same flower in this exact same patch of grass until either A, the flower's gone and there's no good substitute, or B, get the shot and show up when there's good magical light happening on the mountains. But that's just going to be a matter of continuing to show up and working the light and waiting for the right combination of light and flower. Totally worth it. Yesterday clouded up in the afternoon, and tonight, I'm afraid, it did the same thing. I'm afraid I've become a little too obsessed with this potential for this shot because I can't think of anything else now. It feels like I have to do this. I have to finish this before I can move on to another image that has different lighting requirements. So I'm gonna just stay on this thread and keep following this idea until it just doesn't make sense to do it anymore. I did check on the yellow bells. They're still looking really good and still actually coming up, so that's not a problem. I'm just gonna keep my eye on the cloud forecasts and of course just an eye to the clouds to see what's actually happening out and keep pursuing the image until it happens or the flowers die. And we'll see which comes first. I hope it's the former. The vigil continues. Today's got to be the day. The conditions actually look quite good for the golden hour light on the North Hills, but what's missing now, what the challenge is finding a foreground that's going to be compelling with full flowers, with a clear line of sight and clear focal plane all the way out to the hills. And unfortunately, the yellow bell I had in mind and I've been scouting and looking at and taking images of the last week that I've been up here in this patch of grass has finally begun to wilt. Unfortunately, it's on its way out. And so are the other yellow bells. And even the grasses, the little patch of grass is starting to cave in and just look a little bit crunchy. So that's out. That composition's out, unfortunately. But fortunately, about 30 feet away, just right over here, there has, since I was last up here, which was just yesterday, I just realized, there's been a proliferation of shooting stars. A dense bloom right over here about 30 feet from where I was. And the wonderful thing about this bloom is no tall grasses. Super low grasses, lower than the shooting stars, with a uninterrupted view straight out to the North Hills. It's perfect. It's probably about an hour till golden hour now, so I've got lots of time to kill. I gave myself a little extra time this evening in case that didn't work over here in the patch of grass to wander around and find something else, but I already found it. So I'm just gonna hang out, listen to the meadowlarks, and enjoy an unseasonably warm spring day. And probably get set up in about a half hour or so. I'm just gonna wait and not get ahead of myself and not spend too much time in the flowers. I don't wanna trample anything. I wanna be super diligent about making sure that little patch of flower stays pristine. So I'm gonna stay out of it and set up my camera very delicately when it's time and take the shot. Got my shot set up with the shooting stars. I'm super pleased with it, actually. It's just the arrangement of shooting stars and the lack of any tall little protrusions out of the ground, grass, sticks, twigs, which is numerous in this area, is amazing. There's nothing in this little spot right here. There's just nothing to obscure the view to the North Hills. And so it just works. Golden hours is in about 10 minutes. The shadows are already looking really nice on the North Hills. I'll show you the composition that I'm working on here. Pretty simple image. We've got all these shooting stars simply leading up all the way up to the North Hills, which are getting their long extended shadows right now. They're looking quite good. About 5 minutes until golden hour. And that's about all there is to it. So I really try to find the angle, which took a little bit of adjustment with the camera, to stagger the flowers so that they aren't overlapping or jumping into each other, cutting each other off, and so that the eye can kind of move from flower to flower and read them each really easily. So it was just a couple of millimeters to each side, up and down, and over to the left I had to move the camera so all the flowers had a nice little bit of breathing room. So I'm focus stacking this, and oh my gosh, what a game changer. I just got a new camera that has built-in focus bracketing, and it is incredible to just be able to put, oh my gosh, all these meadowlarks. There they go. Wow. So it's amazing to have focus bracketing, because I usually do focus bracketing manually, and the camera has it built in. So I just push the shutter once and it takes as many shots as needed from foreground to background, given the f-stop, to be able to overlap the focuses so I can get focus from that front flower to the back flower. This was incredible. This really exceeded my expectations tonight. No clouds to begin with, and that one cloud just moved right above the mountain right when we needed it. Give a little bit more interest in the sky. Great golden hour light. An amazingly cooperative patch of shooting stars. Man, that's special. It's so special when things come together. I've so enjoyed my time in this, I don't know, 50 by 50 foot area the last week and a half, and it's just been a delight, and I think it's time to move on. I still think it would be a very interesting shot to have a single yellow bell with all the texture of the grass leading up to the North Hills, but this is exactly the kind of thing I was after. I just love the light on those hills, and super pleased with how this shot worked out tonight. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We'll see you later. Bye.